Good afternoon, Michael Havers here from Penn News, and today I am in Camden Town, part of the Holborn and St Pancras constituency, represented by Keir Starmer. Mr Starmer, of course, is the leader of the Labour Party, and the man who, if the polls are anything to go by, we can expect to be our next Prime Minister. He's not without controversy, of course. Many on the left of his party dislike him intensely. Some of them have been thrown out of the party, some of them have left of their own free will, and many of whom regard him as effectively a Conservative in Labour clothes. But he is quite far ahead in the polls, so he must be doing something right. So today we're going to be speaking to voters in his constituency and seeing how they feel about him as an MP and whether they think he's going to do a good job should he get the job as Prime Minister. Okay, let's get cracking. How do you feel about Keir Starmer and the prospect of him being the next Prime Minister?
I'm not so sure. Because he is the lawyer, after all, and if he obeys the law of this country, then I don't think it'd be good for this country, to be quite honest, because the country itself, I mean, under Tories, is bankrupt. Under Starmer, I can't see a lot of difference, unfortunately.
I think he will be the next Prime Minister. I'm not too concerned about that.
Yep.
I think he's sort of a splash of integrity that we need.
Yep.
A splash of honesty that he needs with his background. I feel he needs to be a bit braver though.
Right.
At this point in time, I think he's choosing to play it too safe. I don't think we're in the era of that. So, when he's spinning around, there's a lot of problems at the moment, and if he's going to be the man to do it, he needs to be willing to put himself out there a bit more.
It is inevitable that the Labour Party will be back in power, because they lost 3 elections in a row, and they made a correction of getting rid of the extreme left wing, which is Jeremy Corbyn and Corbynites. So Keir Starmer represents the centre of the Labour Party, shows that Labour Party can be a big tent, can accommodate different opinions, as it was like 20, 30, 40 years ago.
I'm kind of impartial, because even with like the Labour stuff before, my parents have always voted Labour, but it's like with Keir Starmer, it's sort of like you don't know where he's going in a sense. It's sort of like I've seen like online people say he's like a Tory in Labour clothing. I'm just like, so in my mind it's like the lesser of two evils kind of between Labour and Conservative. It's just like you don't know who to choose.
Do you think we'll be any better off or any worse off if he gets in?
I think it'll be slightly better because it's Labour, so it won't be Conservative, but it's still Labour. But Keir Starmer, like, I don't think he's like the right leader.
I think he's a loving man. I definitely see that in him, because I see the pain that he wears sometimes when he gets it wrong, in public view, and he doesn't hide it. You can see it, and I like that, But I also like Boris, 2 completely different people, completely different parties. But I think that there's a lot more to Boris than people thought, a lot more to it.
I think he's probably a very rational, sensible, straightforward person who seems to be driven by principle, decent track record, director of public prosecutions, whatever, so a rather refreshing change from the kind of careerist, ambitious, public school educated group we've had for the last 14 plus years.
And before we continue, can I just invite you to check out the Penn News Substack at pennews.substack.com. That's Penn News, pennews.substack.com, where you can find all of our weekly Vox Pops in full with analysis and all of the other stories we're working on in the course of a given week. You can also check out our YouTube as well, where we're starting to upload our Vox Pops. All right, let's carry on.
Initially, I thought it was the genuine stuff, but how could you accept seeing kids, babies being slaughtered and being killed every day, and saying no, we don't want to I'll call for a ceasefire. His opinion is very important. He might be like eventuality that he could be a prime minister, but from the beginning you're showing us your real colours, saying people are dying. I don't really care.
If he had taken a different stand, say on the ceasefire, but to say that Israel's entitled to withhold water, food and electricity, then is he the Prime Minister that we want,
I'm curious though, is the situation in the Middle East, is that going to be a big factor in how you vote this year?
It's true. Not because I'm particularly pro-Palestinian, it's just that I'm pro-civil rights, I'm pro-human, and I thought the Labour Party has always extolled that, as being a party that cares about its own people and others. And at the moment, with the poverty rising, housing at the critical stage. The Labour Party are not addressing that in a way that is needed.
I think he needs to really double down on what he's going to do with like the NHS, and especially with the housing crisis that we have at the moment. I want to hear some sort of bigger, bolder statements really. I think he's treading very carefully through, to be fair, no fault of his own, because if you put a foot out of line at the moment these days, the press will pretty much annihilate you. So I get the fact that he's a bit conscious of that, but I guess a bit more dynamism.
I think he needs to do more things to like set himself apart from the competition, because a lot of the things he's saying are like not too far from Rishi Sunak. Is sort of taking more of like a centre position more than the left, like the Labour Party actually is.
The big challenge for the first term of any government, whoever is elected, is there are significant structural issues in the economy that means that there is no money. Right. And so I think if Keir Starmer gets elected, he has to get some quick wins. He has to spend 5 years getting public finances in check, or agreeing with the finance community and the Treasury how we can borrow hugely to fix some of those major structural issues, because without that there's nothing they can do.
Do you have any idea how you'll vote in the next election?
Not at all, no. So until I see him perform, I won't make a decision.
Right, so you're going to wait for maybe some debates or a bit more of the campaign trail?
Yeah. I always like the live debates best. I always make my decision on them live debates, always on them. I go by a person's passion, by their belief, by their conviction, and a lot of them come across false, but when I see conviction, I see passion, then that's what I follow, because they won't go perfectly. Nobody goes perfectly, but they'll own the mistakes.
I've always been Labour myself.
Right.
But
will you be Labour this time, do you think?
no, I think I'll vote Green.
Okay.
Because Green are the only party that has really asked for a ceasefire in the Middle East, and it's not just the Middle East; it goes beyond that.
I'm curious to know, if it was a more marginal seat, would you stick with Labour then, or do you think it would be Green no matter what?
I would stick with Labour if it was the marginal vote.
Look, I think for sure it's a bit like the kind of Boris Corbyn thing. I think it'll be almost an anti-Conservative vote this time around, rather than sort of such a pro-Labour.
I'm stuck between my usual choice, which is the Liberal Democrats, but I don't really understand who they are or what they represent, and then Keir Starmer. Anything that isn't the status quo or anything to the right of that.
A lot of people won't be voting for him, people with some kind of dignity in themselves. I'm not going to be voting for anyone.
So you're going to stay home?
No, I'll be somewhere in Spain enjoying the sunshine.
I hope you have a wonderful time.
Thank you very much, thanks a lot.